Joining us at the beach today on behalf of Dove Men Plus Care is Alonzo Mourning.
Very intense Hall of Famer, basketball Hall of Famer, very passionate, had a lot of ups and downs during his career. Let's find out about some of them and crack the case on something you've been wanting to know about for a long time.
We got you.
For the viewer who doesn't know, Alonzo, can you sort of explain what your childhood path was like? Because there was some overcoming there, and there was a woman who loved you in an uncommon way.
Well, there were a lot of people that I define as angels that were in my life that helped contribute to my development, not only as a person, but as a basketball player, whether it be coaches, family members, and what have you. And I stayed in, my mother and father were divorced. I was a product of a broken home. I fell into the social service system and stayed in a group home for a little over a year. And, you know, I ended up going through the court process of custody, and I had to make a decision on whether or not I was going to live with my mother or my father, you know, and I love them both dearly to this day. And it was very difficult for me at the age of 11 years old to choose who I wanted to live with. So I decided to stay in the system, and the judge gave me the right to do that. And I ended up falling into the hands of Fannie Threet, who took in over 49 foster kids in her whole lifetime. She lived to be 98 years old. And from there, I lived with her for 6 years, and I went on to Georgetown from there. I tell you, it's an interesting story. I had Jim Boeheim, Bobby Crimmins, Bob Wade, Terry Holland, and John Thompson all visit my home. And I had all those coaches come and give their sell on why I should go to their school, because I was the #1 high school player in the country. So they sat in front of Miss Threet, and all these coaches came in and gave their pitch. And John Thompson came in and he said, look, Miss Threet, he said, I'm not promising Alonzo anything. He said, the only thing that I'm going to give him is an education. I'm not going to promise you he's going to start. I'm not going to give him a car. I'm not going to give him this. I'm not going to give him that. But I will promise you I'm going to give him an opportunity to get an education. So she looked at me and she was like, well, we know where you're going to school.
Well, there's a story that a lot of people know about, which is John Thompson having a meeting with RAYFUL, who was a drug dealer in D.C., telling him to stay away from you. How did that go on your end? How did the conversation go with John Thompson with you about that?
It was to stay away from players, all the players on the team. That's what it basically came down to, you know, because RAYFUL Edmonds, like you mentioned, is a huge Georgetown fan. He grew up in D.C., huge Georgetown fan, but, you know, he admired basketball and he wanted to hang around the players, you know, so he had a candid conversation with probably one of the most feared individuals in that city at that particular time.
A candid conversation, a candid conversation. I want some more details on what you're filing under, a candid conversation.
Well, he had a candid conversation with a drug dealer and somebody that was responsible for bringing in millions and millions of dollars of drugs up the East Coast. And it was connected with the Colombian cartel, you know, so for a man of his status, to pull a guy of this stature who was just as much in awe of Coach Thompson as we were, to pull him into his office and have a candid conversation with him about, hey, you need to stay away from my players, you know, it lets you know how much of a father figure Coach Thompson was.
I want to lighten this up just a touch here, Zoe. Can you, we've had an investigation for a while here. DIKEMBE, he denied it very strongly, very ferociously, but there is this story of DIKEMBE back in the glory days of walking into a nightclub.
Who wants to sex Mutombo?
Who wants to sex Mutombo?
You've heard it. You've heard it, haven't you?
Is the story true? We need to know if the story is true.
You've heard it before.
That's a confirmation. That is a confirmation.
So how did you, the first time that you heard him say, who wants to sex Mutombo, what did you think the first time you heard him say that?
You are confirming the story.
No, just get to that. Like the first time you heard it, how hard did you laugh the first time you heard him say, who wants to sex Mutombo?
How did y'all hear about this, man?
I'm just saying, the first time you hear that, what do you think when you hear the man say, who wants to sex Mutombo?
Oh, whatever, no comment, man, no comment.
That is so insincere. Look, you can't no comment like that.
some truth to that. There's some truth to that.
Yeah! A journalism victory! Yeah!
While we're on it, you got any idea who Biggie was talking about? And I got a story to tell.
That was his pickup line. That was his pickup line, yeah. And it worked. It worked, too.
It keeps going.
Oh, man.
We don't need to come to work ever again.
So, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We appreciate it, buddy.
All right, guys. Take it easy. All right, thank you, man. All right. Thanks, guys.
That was funny.
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. That was hilarious.